look at the second chamber, because the second chamber in federal states shows you the best to what extent the country concerned really is federal or not, or to what extent the influence of the different parts, regional parts, states, cantons, Länder, whatever, have an impact on politics. We have heard that this is still an open question in your constitution, and you will discuss how to create such a second chamber. Out from the experience in Europe, I think we have three important aspects which have to be decided on to define the role of the second chamber. First, is it part of the legislative power, or is it somehow linked to executive power of the provinces? That's a great difference. If it's like the first chamber, a legislative power, then it is elected and has a similar role as the first chamber. If it is linked to the executive power, then you can say it is federal, but it is not so legislative. And that's the case, as Matthias has said, in Germany. In Switzerland and in the United States, it is clear this is part of the legislative power. The second important question is, once you have this chamber, has it the same powers as the first chamber, or does it play only a secondary role? In Switzerland and the United States, the two chambers are equivalent. Every law has to be adopted by both chambers. It's not that one of them is more important than the other one. Or, as in Germany, you say the second chamber doesn't have the same powers when it comes to the adoption of laws as the first chamber. In Germany also there are ways that the first chamber can overrule the decision of the second chamber. And the third is, if you want to take into consideration the number of the population, that can be reflected in the number of representatives in the second chamber. In Germany, it varies between 3 and 6 representatives. The biggest Länder have 6 representatives, the small have 3. In Switzerland and the United States, the number is equal. But here the question, of course, is it just that in a small canton in Switzerland, only 20,000 people have the same influence in the second chamber as 1.5 million people of the canton of Zurich? And that creates some political problems, but you know that better than we. It's very difficult to change these rules once you have adopted them. There are some problems. The first is, if you have a powerful second chamber, it takes more time to adopt a law, or it can even be blocked somehow. There are procedures how to overcome a contradiction if you have equivalent power. If you do not foresee, as in Germany, that the first chamber can overrule under certain conditions what the second chamber has decided. If not, there might be a problem and there are procedures to overcome it. On the other hand, and that is the experience in Switzerland, we say that as the second chamber needs, or that the whole procedure needs more time, a new law is better reflected, is better discussed. You have 2 chambers who look at them. And you can say, well, it is better based on the political discussion. However, if you have the situation that the second chamber is linked to executive power, as in Germany, because there the representatives of the governments of the Länder are sitting there, not representatives elected by the people. These are the governments who are sitting there. There's the possibility that the central government says, okay, if we have something to decide, it might be quicker if we just call in the people of the Länder, sit together and decide. Then we have all the Länder on our side and we forget about the parliament. And often the competences are not so clearly defined. We saw this during the COVID crisis in Germany, where the most important decisions were taken by the central government together with the representatives of the Länder, without consulting parliament. Now, if this gives a tendency, which is seen by the people with respect to the first chamber, they want to have a parliament they have elected which is in power and which really decides. They don't want to see the executive to overrule or to circumvent the parliament. And therefore, whatever you choose, it has advantages and disadvantages for the stability as well as for the speed to take a decision, as well as to the question to what extent the second chamber really represents the population in numbers. Thank you.